Hello guys, Sendou here again. So today I was thinking of doing a Splatoon 2 basics video. And if you remember last time we were talking about pushing in, we were talking about splat zones. But this time I actually think we would talk about tower control a bit, since this is also one of the current 3 ranked modes. And of course winning in this mode is all about pushing in, and it's a bit different kind than in splat zones where you typically push in the middle. In tower control you're pushing towards the base, so that's the main difference here of course. I think the first thing to know is to simply know when to push, like when you should push. And the obvious answer to this is when you have an advantage of some kind. This might be that you just got a pick or two, you get a kill or two, or you just have super map control for example. But that's the first mistake you can make really, is that you just try to get on tower too early on. You're trying to push forward too early on, you're not really going for the advantage first. And then typically what happens is that you get picked off tower or you just die. And then it's for them a chance to push basically. So typically what I like doing in tower controller modes too is just trying to play a bit more like careful, a bit more neutral, just trying to get that pick or two, and when we have that, then we can get on tower and start a push. So that is how you know when to push. And now we're gonna go over how to push. So typically we are gonna assume here that you have 4 players. You might have less players and then you just have to improvise a bit, but when you think about the 4 players, then yeah, one guy you want on tower of course. I think this should be fairly obvious. We're gonna go over a bit just how to be on tower. Second guy I would say should push to the base basically. So when you think about where it's easiest to get the kills, just think about if you just wipe the enemy team. If you manage to get some kind of in-control in their base and so on, this is a really annoying thing that you can do on the enemy team. Yeah, probably eventually they will remove you, but likely you'll be able to get a kill or 2 here. And just watching these drops here, this is what I call a drop, like basically where you can only drop down, you can't jump up, and these are typically closer to enemy base. I think it's a very effective thing to do, is push forward and watching those drops here. And yeah, I think one player should just move forward and go here and watch these drops and try to get kills. And this is also can be a game-winning position, like sometimes you just do so well this job that they are not able to come back and you just knock it out right away. But okay, first guy on tower, second guy goes to base, tries to get kills. Third guy I'd say should maybe stay a bit more back. Like this depends on map where they should be exactly, but on Humpback specifically, people can also go all the way from spawn and they can go here. And typically this is a position some people take when the tower is still around this part. So you can just leave the tower guy behind alone, you also have to give him some support. And this is where I think one of the players should citizen themselves on this map. So just to watch these guys who come here. You have one guy here who's ready to help the guy in tower, try to get kills on the guys dropping from left. So this is just to remind that the point here isn't that everyone goes to spawn camp like 100%, but just to be a bit more smart about the map and where you should go and so on. And I'd say the fourth guy, it just depends on situation. You have to use your own common sense here. So might be that you see that okay, there's about to be 2 or even 3 enemies going left here, so I should definitely help this guy here. Or it might be possible that you also go help to the spawn camp. It might be various things, or it might be that for example you want to rotate the guy on tower because the guy on tower is of course not in a good position to use the specials. Think about if you have your sloshing machine on tower and you want them to use Stingray. Well, tower is typically not a good place to use Stingray because it's very easy for you to get picked off that way, and the angle isn't so good and the position isn't so good. So maybe you want the guy on tower to go back and use Stingray, and instead you rotate the tower, and so on. But just of course this all varies, but that's my general like feeling how tower control match should be played. So to go it over one more time. One guy on tower, one guy pushing forward to their base, one guy staying a bit back and helping with flanks, helping with the tower not to die. And the last guy just depending on situation, maybe rotating with tower, maybe pushing to spawn, maybe helping the guy watch a bit more like for flanks. And yeah, when you push, you typically do want to get some specials if at all possible. But like when you think about the special I have here is Rain Cloud. This is typically a very good special to shut down a place for a period of time. So for example, if they already take positions here to defend, I can use Cloud here to force them out of position and make it much easier to get a kill. And this is a fun example, also works with Stingray, works with any special really. But just know that it's typically gonna be harder for you to push than for them to defend, so then using specials is very important and smart use of them. And yeah, one more time I want to do here in game before going to the map vision is that just how to be on tower. The first thing to know is that you can do stuff on tower. Typically you shouldn't just like, you know, just hold ZL on tower. You can throw bombs, for example. You can try to, if you have range, you can try to help with the guys who are on the spawn doing other stuff. Or you can throw bombs on the actual tower to ink it. Another thing you should know about avoiding dying on tower is that, okay, think about bombs. Bombs are something that you're gonna be very familiar with when you're up on tower. And the typical thing that happens, bomb lands here and you have to be able to position yourself directly across the pillar here so you don't take damage from the bomb. And this is something that's gonna need a lot of like movement from your part on tower. When you see like stuff land, that you have to be able to move yourself correctly. Like if there's a bomb here, I should move here and probably throw also my own bomb at the same time so I get the ink control back on tower right away. So that's just a fun example of like how to be on tower. But just to recap, you want to help your teammates where possible, throw bombs and stuff, but also you want to make use of hard to kill. And also one more tip that I learned since Splatoon 1 is that if sniper is looking at tower, typically don't go to squid form. The hitbox for the squid is so big, it's so easy to kill you. Typically what I like to do is that I just like do this, I call it the pole dancing, like it's just kind of like jump around and you dance on tower. It makes you much harder to hit because the actual hitbox isn't that big actually, it's surprising, but it's typically a much harder shot for the snipers to make so you can get that couple extra points. And yeah, sometimes a push dies, and it's also an important part of the game. Like to know when you shouldn't push anymore. Like you don't always have to push to full wipe, and in fact it might be a bad thing. So when we're pushing and okay, I'm on tower, yeah, everything's going nice and peachy, but then this guy dies, then this guy dies, was also watching behind, and then the third guy also dies. So I'm last one versus 4 people. Then I have to make the decision whether I should be, you know, forcing a push, basically trying to go for points, or should I maybe stay back a bit more and try to play a backliner a bit more and just try to avoid a full wipe basically, because full wipes are typically pretty bad on this game. That's a chance for the enemy team to come back, and that's not what we want. So again, I say this a lot today, but it's situational, it really is. Like sometimes it's worth it to take the points, and sometimes just play a bit more smart and stay a bit more back and you know, let your teammates respawn and not take too many risks. And I'd say it's about the kind of push you already have. Like if you have push in like 10s or so, like pretty safe push that you could use to win the game, then typically just, you know, just give up on the push. Like you don't have to push the full wipe. Like you can give up on the push when you have a push you think could comfortably earn you victory. But then again, if you don't have that, then it might be more worth it to just stay on tower and die on tower, like, you know, defending and trying to get as many points as possible. But again, like these are the things you learn when you play more of this game. Like, I can't give you a definitive answer that works in every situation. In the end, it's about you playing this game more and learning what works best for you. But I'm actually gonna go to another view here, so I can throw a bit, because I like throwing. So I'm about to fulfill my vision here. So as you can see, we have humpback pump track here, and I'm about to like throw you just like a example of how you could make this push happen. Okay, let's think about the situation where somehow magically you're able to wipe the enemy team. So what should you do? Okay, in my opinion, the first guy should probably like be very fast in his moves and go here, take this block here. There's a block here that allows you to jump on the enemy plat. And then maybe throw a bomb there, just to get a bit map control on the enemy plat basically here. So this guy's gonna be watching the guys from their main drop. This is like the shortest frames from spawn to tower is this. So this is what they're most likely to take. But if this guy is here, it's gonna make it very hard for them. And this is, I think, where the first guy should take position. And second guy, of course, tower. We should get this tower moving as fast as possible. So second guy, of course, takes tower. And third guy, as we mentioned, I'm gonna take a different color for enemies. So of course enemies are probably gonna see that this guy is over here. So they're gonna be more likely to go here and drop from here basically, to have the higher ground here over tower. So of course we want to also have the guy on the guy watching the left side. Because, like I mentioned, this is a very typical mistake many people do, is that they just push forward, they're like, yo, let's spawn camp, then let's knock out, and then they forget about the tower guy and kind of like leave the tower guy alone, and it's kind of sad, honestly. So don't be that guy, but instead go here. So when they drop, you can like, you know, get a kills on them. And the fourth guy, I'd say on full wipe situation, you probably want the fourth guy a bit on the, somewhere here in the middle of these two. I mean, it could be various things. It could be that the fourth guy is also like a guy who has really good special. Maybe the fourth guy is Ansap. So you said Ansap is like, yo, I'm gonna get map control, gonna get that ink armor. And then they get the ink armor, and it's much easier for the whole team to push in and get like the secondary wipe. Because typically if you want to knock out, you have to wipe them twice. The first time is only to get tower moving, and the second time is to be able to reach the goal. So in that, like I mentioned, smart use of specials, so maybe that's what the fourth guy must be doing. Or maybe this guy here, the first guy that we throw, needs some help. Maybe the guys are about to get past here, so when you think about this, this is a pretty wide area for the first guy to cover. So maybe actually the guys are able to go here, so go past the first guy here. So in that situation, maybe, you know, this guy should be here. But again, it just depends. You have to be able to know where the enemy team is going, and in competitive this means callouts, and in solo it just means you have to figure it out. It's kind of hard, but you kinda have to try your best here, so to know where you should be going. Or like I explained, rotating with the tower guy. So if the tower guy has some reason, maybe you're the better weapon for tower, maybe you die them first push. Like that's also like I didn't talk about like coming back from spawn, but that's also very possible that the fourth guy is actually like the guy who died on the first team fight. So if this guy is coming back here, then maybe you want the fourth guy on tower, and instead the second guy is using the special, or just what weapon is best on tower. Typically on tower you want something that has a bit of range and has bombs and so on. But yeah, I think that's about what I want to say about tower control and pushing on tower control. Hopefully you find this video helpful. If you have any questions, then please do leave a comment, and see you next time.